Now let's take a look at using gender-inclusive teaching strategies to create a learning environment that is free from gender-based discrimination by combating stereotypes and biases when it comes to gender roles in our early childhood classrooms. Are our spaces truly inclusive in encouraging our children to explore ideas outside of social norms? We encourage you to evaluate your space and practices to ensure that you are providing spaces and experiences that promote optimal development for all our learners. Growing up with the name Renee, I was constantly asked why I had a girl's name. Some of my earliest memories, going all the way back to nursery school, I can remember being made fun of. There was no one else like me. No one else had a name that crossed those gender lines. I didn't see myself in my peers or in my environment at school. It wasn't until I was in my 30s when I found the book I'm Renee, the Boy by René Colato Lainez that I see myself in a book. The impact it had on me in my 30s was profound. Just imagine what that could have done for me when I was younger. Maybe I wouldn't have been so embarrassed and gone by my middle name for most of my childhood. It is in those early years that learners' minds begin to take shape. It's where they begin to form values, behaviors, and attitudes that will take them throughout their lifetime. When considering your classroom and practices, we're going to look at 5 things you can do to make sure your class creates the best opportunities for children to see themselves in roles outside of societal gender norms. 1. When choosing books for your classroom, be aware of the gender sensitivity of your books before you use them with your learners. Think about how many male and female characters there are in the books and how they are portrayed. Does the language and pictures perpetuate gender stereotypes, or does it encourage children to see themselves in different roles? Also, think about the relationships between the characters and if they perpetuate stereotypical gender roles. How are the characters described in the book? What adjectives are used? Are males described as being strong, powerful, smart, silly, naughty, and rough, while female characters are described as being beautiful, compassionate, loving, emotional, sensible, and helpful? 2. As when choosing books, choosing images, posters, pictures that children see and that are hung in the classroom should be held under the same considerations. Do the images depict people in roles that are not deemed typical for their gender? 3. Next, think about the materials you are presenting to your class. Studies have shown that toys that were most educational and help children develop across the domains were typically gender neutral, while strongly gender-typed toys appear to be less supportive of optimal development. According to psychologist Jean Piaget's cognitive development theory, children learn by interacting with their environment, from which they acquire skills towards adulthood. The ideas they explore, who they explore those ideas with, and the materials they engage with, in particular the toys, have a strong influence in shaping who they will become in the future, as well as the relationships they have with others. When choosing toys, basic is better. When it comes to optimal development, simple wooden, open-ended materials are the best. 4. Now that you know which materials and toys to use, it's time to consider where to put them. What is the layout of your room? The setup of play areas can influence how inviting they are to the children and which activities boys and girls engage in. The setup of the materials can have an impact on who plays with them. Reorganizing your play and other learning materials can be an easy way to inspire new games, exploration, ideas, and encourage different learners to engage with one another. For instance, boys are more likely to try playing with dolls when they are found next to the blocks, perhaps building a house or a vehicle for the dolls and including the dolls in their play. 5. When communicating with the learners in your classroom, it is important to reflect upon the language you use and how you deliver it. When addressing the children, try using terms like learners and friends instead of boys and girls. When grouping children, try using different attributes other than boys and girls. As when evaluating the language in the books you use, think about the words you are using to describe the children as you respond to them. Are the girls pretty, bossy, and kind, while the boys are silly, rough, and strong? You also need to evaluate how you are communicating. You need to make sure you are consistent with communicating with all your learners. Think about if your tone and intonation is the same for everyone, or are you more calm when talking to the girls and harsher when talking to the boys? Finally, you need to evaluate your nonverbal communication and how you respond to the children in your classroom. Are you more accepting of girls showing strong emotions? Are you less accepting when the boys express the same emotions in the same way? When engaging with the children, you may be more likely to interact with the girls by getting down to their level by bending over or sitting with them while you remain standing and talking over the boys. All learners deserve a space where they are seen as capable individuals who are encouraged to explore all areas of the classroom free of gender stereotypes and biases. It is our role as educators to create a safe and reflective space for our children to develop their identities and to counterbalance gender stereotypes by using the gender-inclusive teaching strategies that we discussed. We hope this video helps you as you continue to evaluate your space and practices to ensure that we are providing spaces and experiences that promote optimal development for all our learners. As you strive for a culturally responsive classroom, you may ask yourself, do I see each child in the role that they choose?